What's going on, everybody? Critical Ray back here again, and tonight I'm gonna be continuing my Walking Dead season 9 review series. And this was the first episode that has been since Rick left the show. Andrew Lincoln, last week was his last episode, so I was very curious on how to see how they were going to, you know, do this rest of this season, and by the looks of it, it's going to be pretty damn good. So, hopefully you have been watching my past reviews, and if you haven't, this is the first review that you've been watching. Definitely after this review, if you like it, go back and watch my other ones, because I talk about all my thoughts and opinions about every little detail about the show, and also like speculate on how they're going to do the season out and everything. So yeah, really good, reviews, and just a good way to come and, just talk and hear someone else's point of view about what everything means for The Walking Dead. And I compare it to the comic books and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's just a good time. So, definitely do that because it really, really would help me out. Also, if you're new to my channel, welcome. Hopefully, you enjoy this. Also, I have a lot of other content out. So definitely go check all of it out because I personally am very proud of everything that I've uploaded just about. So yeah, that would really help me out. And if you're a returning, subscriber or watcher, welcome back. I hope that you enjoy this one. And like always, in the comments after the review, let's talk about all your thoughts and opinions about the show and where they're going and stuff like that. So yeah. So without further ado, we're just gonna dive right in. Oh, and there are spoilers ahead because I don't tiptoe around reviewing the show. I just review the whole show and talk about everything. So, yes, you have been warned. So, if you don't already know, this show stars Norman Reedus, Lauren Cohan, and Melissa McBride. Those are the three longest actors and characters that have been on the show. Of course, you have other people like Josh McDermott, who plays Eugene, and then you got Christina Sorrentes. I hope I said her last name right. Who plays Rosita, and so many other phenomenal actors and actresses. Those are just our main three that I list off because if I was going to list all of them off, I would be here forever. So, this episode, after Rick's death, it just jumps 6 years. It's been 6 years since everything has gone down, and we get to see Judith as, she's done grown up and she's making her decisions. And we also, in the last episode, we saw her, find Dan Fogel's group and say, okay, come with me if you kind of want to live and you'll be safe. So this whole episode was them dealing with the fact that Judith brought people back. And this episode wasn't the best in this season. It really wasn't. It's still a really good episode. It's just, it feels like the show is just rebooted itself in a way. Like, there's so many questions that we have now, or that at least I have, why isn't Alexandria taking people in anymore? That makes no sense because Rick died wanting peace from all the communities. He wanted peace for everyone. He wanted to take people in. So did Carl. They both died wanting that, so why aren't they? What has happened in 6 years that has changed this? Also, why is Daryl still living out in the fucking woods? I mean, I knew that he walked off, and I even said in my last review after Rick, with him walking off, I even said that I didn't think he was going to come back and be part of the communities because he's a loner, and that's kind of where he felt like he needed to be. Because honestly, the only thing that kept him with the group, the one thing that kept him with the group this long was Rick. And with Rick gone, Daryl doesn't have anyone that he really, kind of he likes being around everyone. He just doesn't have Rick who kind of helped make him, be a part of everything and stuff like that. Rick always kind of went out of his ways to make Daryl comfortable in like a setting that he's not used to. So when they got to Alexandria, Rick kept, talking to Daryl and everything and was like him and Carol both. Those are the two characters that kind of have kept Daryl around the group for as long as he's been with them. And with Rick gone and Carol's married to Ezekiel, I honestly don't know what the future holds for Daryl, but it looks like he might be coming back. But yeah, we'll get to that. So, this episode, Aaron, Rosita, Judith, Eugene all brought these Dan Fogel's group back to Alexandria. And Michonne was out. It started off with a monologue of Michonne like talking to Rick at the bridge, and you can tell that Michonne is kind of losing it, but kind of not. She keeps talking to Rick and Carl, and Judith even notices it, and she confronts her about it. And like, I don't really, and I love this scene. I love the little girl who's playing Judith. Also, I think she is fantastic right now, and I can't wait to see how she reacts to everything to come, because it's about to get really fucked up if they do the whispers right. So yeah, very interested to see how she can really act. But the scene that she had with Michonne, whenever they were talking about Rick and Carl, I really did love that scene. I thought that that right there proved to me that she deserved to be playing Judith Grimes. And when she said that, I know that she talked to Daddy and Carl, but, I can't even really remember their voices anymore, and I, slowly am starting to forget it, but I hope that you never do, and that you can keep, and I know I'm kind of butchering it, but I love that whole, dialogue was great, and that whole scene was very, emotional and stuff like that, so I really did. I love that whole scene. I love how, Rick, not Rick, Judith and Michonne, they have a relationship like that, and I really do. We also learned that Michonne has had a kid. Hopefully it's Rick's. I'm pretty sure it is Rick, because they talked about starting a family together. They had a little boy, is what it looks like. So we still have that to be answered. And when did she have that baby? When did she know that she had the baby, was pregnant? What's his name? We don't even know his name. So you have that. We also have, we see that Alexandria has a council again, which I figured that's what they would go back to, just because they had that in season 4 and it was really, proactive and it worked. So I figured they would eventually go back to that. And Michonne has the biggest voice out of that whole deal. So, but at the same time, you can tell that not everyone's starting to agree with her, and I'm glad that she is dealing with the things that is going on in the world, but she is also very cautious now. Hopefully that made sense, but yeah. So you have all that going on, and the trial, thing we got. It was. I thought that was a nice little way for them to introduce Dan Fogel's character even more, and his group, and like give them backstory, and like quickly just do it. It's not like drawn out or nothing. It's just they're asking them questions, and I really did like that whole sense of that was a very unique and productive way of introducing their characters and giving us some backstory about them. So I really did like that. I also like the fact that they had their own little moments, like in the house whenever they were, talking to the one girl who was in prison that kind of butted heads with Michonne. Everyone was like, just, we gotta, be okay. And like the deaf girl, she even, signed that, you know, these people obviously have gone through a lot to get to the point where they are now, and we just have to respect whatever they say, because obviously they have been through a lot and they have a right to, be not trustworthy of just random people. So, they're very smart people, and you really get that sense of that. So I think that they really are going to fit in well with the groups and stuff like that. Also, so we had that. Then we had a nice little scene with Judith and Negan. Judith was doing her homework, and then Negan was just trying to help her out. And, He of course went on because she's doing a math problem and it's about planes, and he's like, "Have you ever seen a plane? Do you think you'll ever see a plane?" See, math and problems like that is supposed to be relevant to you. If you haven't seen a plane or ever gonna see one, this should be something more relevant to you. And just the little dialogue like that, I really enjoyed their chemistry. I think that both of those, Jeffrey Dean Morgan and that little girl, they have really good chemistry already. And I have a feeling, and I said it in my last review, that Judith is going to take the place of building a relationship with Negan, like Carl did in the comics. So that is really interesting to me, and because Judith is not in the comics, I think she was born, but then she ended up dying, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not 100% sure. But, Carl is about Judith's age in the comic, maybe a little bit older, but he wasn't as old as he was in the TV show. So he ends up building a relationship with Negan, and when they come across the Whispers, he gets Negan out of the jail cell, and Negan becomes helping them with the Whispers, and then, of course, he ends up, betraying them and stuff like that. But I honestly do think that they are taking Carl's role from now on and giving it to Judith. And honestly, that is a brilliant way to do it, because I figure that they might do that with Daryl, but I think that they're going to pass some of Rick's whole personality onto Daryl. Like maybe Daryl's going to become a leader. Who knows? But I definitely like the sense that, they're going to make Judith like Carl in the comics, which is great because they need someone like that in this show. They don't need an adult to take the place of Carl's character moving forward. They need a little kid, and the way that they're doing it, I am really liking it. And honestly, I think I'm going to like it even more than I would have liked it if Carl was doing it. I'd still wish that they would have kept Carl alive, and because Andrew wanted to leave, so if Carl was alive, Carl could step into Rick's shoes, and then Judith could have came into Carl's, from the comics. So they kind of messed that whole up, but I have faith that these showrunners, they have a plan moving forward. They know exactly what they're doing, so we just have to sit back and wait and take the ride. So, we had all that. And then we learned that the communities aren't, talking, or they're not close anymore like they were back when Rick was them. And that's, predictable because, in all honesty, Rick was the one that kept the groups together. He was trying so hard to keep them all together, having resources for one another, helping them out, each other out, bettering themselves. And it seems like without Rick that they aren't that close anymore, so that was very predictable. And they kept saying back at Alexandria that after he or him, they kept using that pronoun, he or him. I think that's a pronoun. I'm not sure about that, and just let me know in the comments if it is. I want to say it is. But anyways, they kept referring to someone, and I think it's Rick, but I'm not 100% sure. Ever since him, things haven't been the same. So what the fuck happened in 6 years, that made everyone not trust people or want to bring random people into the community on a trial basis? I'm very curious to know what all happened, because they have a lot of, filling in the blanks to do. And that's what I meant by, it feels like kind of like a reboot, because it's almost like, after Rick, they closed the whole chapter of a book, like the one comic book ended and now a new one has started. It's kind of like how the Marvel's going to kind of do after Avengers 4. They're ending one story and everything moving forward is going to be a brand new book. So it feels like that. And so we're at the very beginning of a new book, and we have the same characters, we know their backstories, but we don't know what is going on. And I kind of like that. This show needed kind of a mix up. I love the show. I've loved every episode of it. I love every season of it, but some episodes I love more than others. And this, whole thing, it feels brand new, like the show has a new life in it. And I really am enjoying it. So I do want to know what happened. I think it has to do with Michonne, at least. After he and him, I have a theory that after Rick, then like Daryl just left and probably went on his own, or maybe he had a falling out with someone, and maybe that's what caused something. Someone obviously, made Michonne not have loyalty in people again. So you have that. But going to the kingdom, because they did show the kingdom, we haven't seen the hilltop yet. But going to the kingdom, Ezekiel and Carol are married. The kingdom's kind of falling apart because it's old, and they're trying to, learn how to fix it and trying to keep it maintained. Also, shit, what's the kid's name? Anyways, Ezekiel's son that was the brother to the brother who died that Morgan got close to. Can't think of his name right now, but he is one to go and learn how to fix like the pipes and stuff like that. So Carol talked Ezekiel into letting him go to Hilltop to learn. And on their journey, well, also the kingdom's going to have a fair, and I know that's crazy to have a fair in during the zombie apocalypse, but they're gonna have a fair, and he's hoping that will bring the communities back together. So I'm looking forward to that, and I think that Ezekiel is going to be that person that tries to keep the communities together now. But Carol and the kid went out, and they had nice little moments, and you got to see how much Carol has really evolved into being a queen and married again and having a kid. But we also saw that she hasn't changed one bit, because boy is she still ruthless, because they ran into the Saviors, which the Saviors we learned is no more. The communities completely broke up. The ones that at the bridge, they were having that falling out, the ones that were having the falling out, having problems being a part of the group, they're now out on their own because Sanctuary has fallen and stuff like that. And everyone who has been wanting to, live with the communities and stuff, they're living like at the Kingdom or Hilltop. They're probably all divided up at different communities. So they run into those, and Carol, the kid was like kind of upset that she didn't fight back. Well, she didn't fight that back because of him. And then as soon as he went to bed, she went and she burned those fuckers alive. And oh my god, that was like the best thing that she has done since Terminus. She is ruthless, and it's just, she is. I love it. I love when Carol is ruthless like that, and I'm glad that nothing has changed. But at the end of, towards the end of, their whole thing, on the way to the hilltop, they make a little detour, and she goes and picks up Daryl. So I am very curious to see how that's going to play out. Like I said, I don't know what they're going to do with Daryl's character, but I'm very fascinated about it. I am also curious to see how he has been dealing with Rick's death. And yeah. Also, Michonne didn't kick out the group of people, Dan Fogel's people. She's not really wanting them to stay at Alexandria, so she's going to escort them to the hilltop, and hopefully Maggie will let them stay, which I think that she will. Which Maggie's departure should be coming soon, because Lauren Cohan's leaving the show, so I think it'll ultimately be Jesus's decision on whether the group stays, and he's going to let them, obviously, because Jesus likes people like that. And yeah, so that's going to be probably what all of next week's episode is going to be about, and that, and Eugene and Rosita, because they went off to boost the signal for Gabriel, which Rosita and Gabriel are dating, which is like, what the fuck. But at the same time, Eugene is finally ready to tell her that he's in love with her. So hopefully that they'll get together, because in the comics they're together, and yeah, that's what I want happen, honestly. But if you'd like Rosita to stay with Gabriel, then let me know down in the comments. But I just personally think that Eugene and her would make a great couple, and that's something that I've been looking forward to ever since I found out about it in the comics. So yeah, so they went and did that, and they got ran off by her. Eugene hurt his leg, and now he has a limp because he hurt his knee. So I'm curious if maybe his knee is going to be fucked up, because in the comics Rick has a cane. So because during the war, like, Negan stabbed like an arrow into his knee and it fucked up the tendon, so Rick has to walk with a cane now. So I'm curious if they're going to take that whole deal and put it on Eugene, which would be interesting. But yeah, they're running from a herd. They end up hiding, and we hear the herd talk. And, they're advertising it like they're going to evolve. And the Walker said that they don't, where they go, don't let them get away, some stuff like that. And they heard them, and you could just see the terror on their face. Well, that's the Whisperers. And the Whisperers are a group of people who likes to take the skin of walkers and put it on themselves, kind of like Leatherface does with his victims. And they walk among the herd. And so in the comics, Rick comes across them first, in the same sense that he's hiding from a herd and he hears them talking, and it just throws him off. So very curious to see how all that goes. I know a good bit about the Whisperers storyline in the comics. Like, I know that Carl ends up like falling in love with the leader's daughter of the Whisperers. So whether or not maybe Judith falls in love with the son and stuff, I kind of talked about that last week. But I am still very curious to see how they're going to play out the Whisperers storyline, because the Whisperers are some fucked up people. And yeah, very curious to see how they're going to do this. But that brings it to, my speculations. And I know this is a long video and these reviews have been getting longer, but I want to cover everything. I want to talk about all my predictions and speculations. So they're going to be long because there's a lot to talk about and there's a lot predicting. And like I said, I know a good bit about the comics. I haven't read all the comics, but I know a good bit about the comics. So yeah, I'm going to obviously talk about and compare them and like let y'all know what's to come and how it might be different, and just a lot of fun stuff to talk about down in the comments. Have conversations, let's have debates, stuff like that. I love doing that with you guys, and I hope that you do too. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this review series, because Walking Dead is by far one of my favorite shows on TV. I think it's Game of Thrones, Walking Dead, then Sons of Anarchy. So those are my 3 favorite shows, and yeah, by far one of my favorite shows. So of course I'm enjoying reviewing these. So yeah, hopefully you guys really did enjoy this. If you did, hit that like button because it really does help me out. Also in the description I have links to my Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook pages for the channel. You can click on over there for updates on personal life, things I'm working on, things I might be thinking about doing. I might have a little poll, a survey of having 2 ideas for videos, and I might see which one y'all want to have more. I also go live on Facebook and Instagram every now and again, so you can join my live streams, carry on conversation with me, maybe come on camera with me and talk to me. Ask me questions, stuff like that. Also in the comments, if you have any TV shows you'd like me to review, I'd gladly take suggestions, because I'm about out of TV shows. Walking Dead will end in 2 weeks, and then we'll have the mid-season finale. And The Deuce and Mayans just ended, so I'm a little out of TV shows. I'm thinking about doing more movie reviews, and if you have any movie suggestions, comment down below. I'll gladly go see any movie that you recommend. I know Thursday night I'm going to go see the new Fantastic Beast movie, and I will have a review for that night. So yeah, a lot of good content to come. I'm also looking for more new suggestions from you guys. And yeah, like I said, if you like this video, hit that thumbs up button. Also share it with all your friends, family, everyone that you know, and any people that you don't know. And hit that subscribe button for more awesome content like this. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Goodbye.